So for tonight's movie, I'm finally watching movies again. For tonight's movie, I watched F. Gary Gray's Straight Outta Compton, which I've seen a few of his films, and I was looking at his music video filmography, and it's kind of amazing the things he did. He did TLC's Waterfalls, which is like the greatest music video. Um, But obviously, I didn't see this last year because I was not watching films directed by men. But it like made a lot of money in the box office, and it was like the number one film for several weeks in a row. I think it was like at least 3 weeks in a row in August, and everyone in the office loved it. And I had not seen it, so I was like, ah. So I'm in my attempts to learn more about hip hop. This was a movie I felt I must watch. And I know that there are some slight inaccuracies, and especially in terms of violence towards women, and that's an important thing to note because those are things that shouldn't really be glossed over, sort of ever. But the film is also produced by Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, so it's almost like film as autobiography as opposed to film as biography. In which case, autobiographies aren't always the most accurate in terms of the negative aspects of things. An opposite example of that, however, is Joe Cotton's autobiography. He goes into all of the bullshit that he knows he did because he was an old man when he wrote it, and he decided to stop, to just lay it all out there. I really like that, but that's Joe Cotton. So, I thought this film was really well made. It was beautifully shot by Matthew Laboutique, who did Black Swan, among other films. He worked with Aronofsky most of the time. He's a great cinematographer, and this movie was just beautiful, beautifully shot, and especially in the opening sequence where they're sort of creating the world of Compton for 80s Compton for audiences. It's just so evocative and sets the mood really well. I thought all the performances were really great. Ice Cube's son plays himself, and he looks just like him, and it's insane. But my favorite performances really were Corey Hawkins as was it Dre? Oh my god, I lost the list. Ooh, there it is. Yeah, Corey Hawkins as Dr. Dre. He's great. He actually Corey Hawkins went to Juilliard, so he is a Juilliard trained bona fide actor with a capital A, and he was so good in that role, so good. Dr. Dre was actually one of the few people I knew back in when I was in high school and listening a little bit, mostly because of I Forgot About Dre and Eminem, which is sort of the point of the song is that. Anyways, I always feel stupid talking about hip hop because I don't know a lot, and so it's one of those few. It's a topic that I wish I knew more about. Which is what I have some books I borrowed from one of my coworkers. I'm going to read them. I'm going to learn some shit. Paul Giamatti was really good. He's always good. Go back and watch My Best Friend's Wedding, and he steals it in one scene with Julia Roberts, where you could see that he was a great actor and just needed to break out. That was 97. That was 20 years ago. Oh man. And I also thought Jason Mitchell as Eazy-E was very, very good. I wish there were more with some of the other rappers towards the end. The guy playing Tupac, you only got a scene with him, and you only had a little bit with Keith Stanfield as Snoop Dogg. Keith Stanfield, one to watch out for. He is in so many great movies in such a short amount of time. He's quite good. I was glad that I had watched this after watching The Tanning of America, because that was a nice sort of view of the era, and so then this had a bunch of callbacks to things that were in that one that I was like, oh yeah, that's that one guy from Interscope. I got it. So I feel like if I had watched this like in August, I would have been like, I know Dr. Dre, and then that would have been out. I didn't know Ice Cube obviously because of his acting career. I liked the bit in towards the end with the LA riots where Ice Cube was giving a really great like interview, basically calling out the bullshit in the media. What I think is the most fascinating about this film is that, and especially if you like watch something like Selma, and then you watch this, and then you look at Ferguson, and you see how all of this unrest sort of gets sparked when somebody somebody gets murdered, right, in a big sort of overarching way. But the violence is always there, and the corruption is always there, and it's like we only notice it every once in a while instead of actually trying to understand it and figure out how to make it better. And I don't know if there is a way to make it better because we've built this country on a lot of horseshit, actually. But paying attention to an art form that comes from it, I think, is a great way to sort of understand. And I liked that towards the beginning of the film, you really delved into why they were making the kind of music they were making, and then towards the end of the film, you see that they sort of lost sight of why they had originally made these songs and what they were really trying to do with their music, which they didn't really make it back to that either. But that's usually what happens with a lot of artists. If you start out, trying to do something that's earth shattering, and then because you have to, and then you get a taste of fame, like it's very hard to get back to that. Which is why some of the great artists, I think, are the ones that never make it too popular because they just keep making from hunger, But that's art in general. So there was another scene I really liked. I guess the scene where they're recording their first album and the cops come and try to force them to like get down on the cement, even though they're just literally standing there drinking soda. And then their manager is like so shocked that they would even that this would even be happening, and it was like such a great way of showing like how this was just a reality for them, and it was such an injustice to the white dude, and it was like this is just shit they put up with every day. So I sort of see how this film is really in tune with where we're at as a society, yet in seeing how few sort of accolades it's getting besides like the screenplay and a couple of ensemble nominations, why it would sort of be ignored because it's almost too political, I guess. And it's too about race politics and identity politics and the kind of things that we try to ignore. And this movie doesn't want you to ignore it. And because it doesn't want you to ignore it, they ignored it, which is sort of a bummer. I don't know. I thought it was a great film. And while it obviously shouldn't be taken as history, it definitely captures a feeling and an essence that I think is important. So this was, he's got that name, man. F. Gary Gray's Straight Outta Compton. Came out last year. I recommend it.